Motion to accept the agenda.
Lori,
I'll second.
any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried. Then on the consent agenda, I just had a couple of questions. Just explain to me, and you can answer them right now. Lane changes, I thought we had those done. Wasn't that at last meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
there was a lane change that was turned in back in January.
Yeah.
But it got missed when the agenda was set, so the person had turned in their paperwork well ahead of time.
But we didn't get it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That'll work.
And so for anybody listening, the person had it turned in on time. It just got missed on the agendas.
Alright, sounds good. Any other questions on the consent agenda? Anything else you want to pull off? I need a motion then.
I'll motion to make that,
Accept the consent
accept this
agenda.
consent agenda.
I have it first, I have a motion.
I'll second it.
Jeremiah, second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, student representative. Look at them, we have one. Yay! And your first name, I know you're Keen, right?
Kaylee.
Kaylee?
Kaylee.
Gotcha. Thank you for coming. Please come every month.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Key and I'm the Vice President of the Student Council this year. And I'm here to talk about homecoming, which will be the week of the 22nd through the 26th. And this year's theme is Break the Bolts, and we are playing Ashby Vernon Evansville. We have coronation this Friday at 2:30, and the parade is next Friday the 26th at 2, followed with the football game at 7, and the 9 through 12 homecoming dance after that. That goes from 9 to 11 p.m. And we have various dress-ups throughout the week with activities in the afternoon. And then Friday, we have our theme day, so we'll dress thunder, and then we have float building and bingo in the morning, and then powder puff football and Ironman volleyball, and then a dance for the 7th and 8th grade. And then we'll go to the parade.
What is Ironman for?
Ironman volleyball is like where the men play volleyball. It's like the powder puff football is the girls, and then Ironman is the boys. We just started that, I think, last year.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh. Sounds like fun. Any questions for her? Thank you very much, and like I said, see you next month.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one guest so far, unless Mitchell shows up. Renee.
So I heard it was School Board Appreciation Month, and a lot of the school board has really worked hard the last year to get things back rolling. And according to a lot of the people we've talked to, they're happy with how the school year is going so far this year. It seems like it's running smooth, people are happy. So we have a donation for the school board. There's always a donation for the kids, classrooms, etc. So this time we have a donation for the school board members. You can wear these with pride.
Thank you.
I'll get you Chuck.
Oh yeah, we'll give Chuck his, maybe if he's nice. Oh, they're cool. I like that blue.
Thank you.
You good?
Because I just ordered something.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
If Mitchell comes, can we let him come talk
Yeah.
after all? and program reports. Is there any questions for Kelsey? Not that she's here, but anything. Nope. Community Ed, Mr. Evenson.
Let me bring this up.
Yeah.
I think Jeremiah had asked about taking a look at how much would it cost to fund some of the stuff that 21st century holes that 21st centuries have left. So the two things that were brought up were adding back the day for that to come to 3 days of bolt during the year. And I've got numbers on that. And then the second one was what would it look like to do something with robotics. And I can explain, I'll give you the numbers and I'll explain exactly what those two things are. If you have questions, you can ask me. Thanks, everybody. So if you take a look at those two items, the top one represents the stuff that we would need for Bolt. So there's 9 teachers that we staff for Bolt each day. And what that is based on, it's based on a ratio of 11 to 1. And right now we have 9 teachers that are there because some of the groups have more than 11 kids, obviously. So there's 3 grades that would need 3 extra teachers because they're over that 22 limit. So then they get an extra teacher. There's 1 grade that is sitting at about 18, which means they get a paraprofessional. Anything after 16, they get a teacher and a paraprofessional. And then we have 1 kitchen staff that takes over and she does gives the snack and does all those things. So that's where they come from. Each of the teachers is paid $32.40 an hour. They work for 2.15 hours. So you see that for the total for the teachers. And then 1 paraprofessional, we pay them, last year we paid them $21 an hour, 2.15 hours, $45.15. And then the kitchen staff was paid $20 an hour, and she only works 1 hour, because what they do is they prepare it, they serve it, they clean it up, and then they're usually done. They're out the door by 4:50. So if you look at that, that's $20. That is the entire cost for 1 day. $692.09 times 33 weeks works out to $22,838. And then if you add in the fringe, because we have to pay fringe during those times, anytime that anybody's in the building, we get fringe. So that's $26,826. If you divide that by 140 participants, that's what it costs per kid. So the top one's without fringe, the bottom one's with fringe.
Are we required, fringe, is that something?
We are required. If they're in the building, they're working for us, we don't have a choice.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but if your students are doing better, your job is a lot easier.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know the rules on that, Tanya. I just know
It's
that
just so,
through 21st century, we've always had to pay the fringe on all those things. And it's a bigger chunk of money. I mean, $4,000 buys a lot of stuff, but that's just things we face. And the bottom one, it's a little bit different because how we deal with, how we've always dealt with robotics is we kind of treated it like a coaching position. So what that is, it's a stipend. So there's always been 3 full-time coaches. So that stipend is $2,000 per coach. So it's $6,000. Then we have, because of the number of kids we've had, we have a flexing coach that goes back and forth, and then we had a part-time person. And that was $1,000, and you could choose not to have that person, and things would just come down. And then equipment and supplies. This is where it's really expensive to run this program because there's computer stuff and mechanical things that are required. And what I did is I went back and I looked at, okay, over the last 5 years, how much have we spent? And the average is about $3,000. And that's also for, they're not super expensive, but we also have to pay for entry fees to go there. And then there's each team that you have has to pay a fee. So that total comes up to $3,000 for everything. It's right around there. Some years it was like 3,800 and some years it was only 2,200, depending on what happens. Then we do go to 2 competitions. We try to go to at least 2. And I would suspect if you were doing this, we would probably just go to 2, one for the varsity and one for what we call the elementary. That average is about $458 for a bus. 2 trips would be $916, so you can see the total. And then when you add fringe, you get to $12,000. 44 participants is about $248. And when you add the fringe, it's $291.41. That came down a lot. And the reason I figured it as one program is because if you figure just the high school part of it, they only had about 11 or 12 kids that participated last year. That number becomes overwhelming. It's almost $700 a kid. So if you figure it as one big program, and that's how we try to deal with it. It's all goes together as far as how we do it, the finances. That's what it would be. So.
Have you guys made any decisions on this yet?
On that part, we have not. We've been, I've talked to the instructors. I know that they have been able to, last year we were successful in getting about $1,000 we wrote a grant. Actually, Dave and Nelson and I wrote a grant together. We get $1,000 for the upper group and $500 for the lower. And we just had to do some things like they had to watch a video about engineering and some other stuff, but it was easy stuff. The kids didn't mind doing it, and I think we took in like $1,500 for that, so that could be used. Hopefully we could get that again. This is something that's out there. It's a big expense that obviously there's not enough 21st century money to finance these 2 things left over. Again, would ask me to put together some numbers for those. So those are the 2 programs that we did. The other programs, when we went back, I went back to everybody who offered a program in the fall last year. And I said, what do you want to do? It's your choice. Here's what I'd like to do. And we talked about a per person basis to offer those programs. We had 3 people that said, you know what, I want to offer it to the kids. I will volunteer my time. So we have 3 programs that are going on. One is going to be completely free. One's only going to be $35 a kid, which is manageable. And one is going to be around like $45 because they're volunteering their time. Others, Mrs. Olson decided to wait a little bit. She's going to do more of a winter thing with what she did. She did book club. She's going to wait and then do a shorter amount of time with books that the kids select. Instead of just selecting books all the way through the year, she's going to do that. And then we had a couple of places that said, no, I just can't do this unless I get paid. So we figured it out per pupil, and we're offering that per pupil. So, one of the activities that cost over $100 per kid, and I don't know where that'll go. And then we had a couple of them that just said, no, we're not going to offer it at this point, but come back and see me in the wintertime. So tried to go to every single program that we had and talk about this. We do have a little bit of time with robotics because normally they haven't started till October, middle of October, end of October, so there is a little bit of time with that. And then that program usually runs through about March, the end of March. So
I know you said it starts in October. Do you already have kids that are signed up for it?
no, we do not. We did not open that up just because I didn't want to open it up and then take it away from them, say they can't do it, because there are some passionate kids about that program.
Brad, it's such a good thing.
Yep.
And it's such a good, it fits a niche of kids.
Yeah, oh, for sure, yeah. All these do.
I wonder if the Lions, the Long Prairie Lions, and maybe the Gray Eagle Lions would contribute to that. I know they already do with activities, that's an activity, right?
Yep.
So I don't know if they would think that's overlapping, but it might be worth bringing up, because I think that is really it's so important.
And I think Dave Nelson and myself, along with those grants, we would go and try to get, if we chose to go forward with it, we'd try to go get some, as much as we possibly could.
Or maybe get sponsored by some businesses that.
We did talk to a couple businesses, and at this point, it's kind of an iffy time for businesses right now, so they really wouldn't commit to it. But they didn't say, hey, no, we're not doing anything. So Didn't have a lot of success with that, but we would definitely go out and try to search and, bring that number down. I was just asked for raw numbers, so. The other thing that, we did with each one of these also is that, we talked to students and we tried to look at, okay, what do you really think is the most important? And we talked about those areas that meet different kids' needs. And, these were two programs, that were mentioned, but also the cooking class. We have like 14 or 15 kids that are really passionate about that. Even the D&D class, there's 15 or 16 kids that really love going there every week. So those were some of the ones that people, it's the things that other kids that don't necessarily fit into sports, they don't fit into things, those are the kids that are really passionate about these things, so.
Have you heard any feedback from parents about cutting back from 3 to 2 days?
Yeah, we have definitely. I mean, I haven't gotten that, but there's been feedback why. We try to explain to them because of the freezing of the federal funds, so that made a difference. So, not a lot, because I think it was out there. I mean, people kind of knew that it was coming, but I had open house. I had a couple people ask me over at the other school, how come it's only 2 days, my student struggles. They need all 3 days. So that was brought up a couple of times. Haven't had a bunch of it, but you gotta realize, it hasn't started yet. We don't start Bolt until next week. So next week is when I would think that you're gonna start hearing that comment back, how come it's only 2 days? So.
And did we eliminate that late bus?
The late bus is still, so what we did, what we're trying to do, I asked Aximent to give me a bill for the 5 months that we would have, so we would get through December or close to it. That would get us through, and then we could always, if you guys wanted to eliminate the late bus at January, that would be your call. There's enough money left over in the budget because of not replacing any of those people that left. Like, we didn't replace Alyssa for the whole year. And we did not replace Mary when she left, and she was a full year employee. So there was enough money left over to pay for those, for 5 months of activity bus. So the activity bus will be paid up all the way through December.
How many can use that?
It really varies. Elementary kids, a lot of them. High school kids, not as much. The junior high kids for sports they do, but when we do Bolt, last year we were averaging putting 53 kids on the bus a night. So it's quite a few. And a lot of it is in town, but then we have probably 10 or 15 kids that live in Browerville that choose to come here, that ride that activity bus, and they won't come unless they have it. So that's a tough decision, but we should be paid up, as long as Aximent gets us the bill, we should be paid up for what it averaged last year. We have enough money to cover that for transportation.
And you can move that money around like that?
Well, we can't, we can do it this time, because what happens is when we prepay, we have to have everything prepaid by September 30th. So the last day we can write any kind of a check for 21st Century is then. So there's a wrap-up period. The funding goes through August 31st, and then there's a wrap-up period where so we have to fill out an FRF, it's called, on where the money is and what it is. So if we spend that down, that's the last time we can do that. So as far as I know, it's legal. I mean, we're okay to do that, so.
So you're hoping to get 5 months?
5 months, well, September, October, November, and then December's short, because there's a lot of days where we don't have Bolt, because you got concerts going on, you've got, because of the vacation. So there's actually, when you look at Bolt in December, it's very few days because of that. So it becomes a little bit more tolerable. So it's actually like 4.5 months worth of stuff. So.
For robotics, does this team pay the activities fee?
No, it's always been a 21st Century program, so.
But that could be an option?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, any of this stuff, I mean, we can add fees to anything we want to, and we've tried to do that. That's why I went to everybody and said, hey, but when you sat down with the robotics people, and I talked, Dave Nelson is the one who really does all the financial stuff. He goes, how many kids it's gonna cost, in the high school it's gonna cost $500, and down here it's gonna cost $100 something, so we averaged it out. it's pretty tough to say, you gotta pay $291 to
Well,
buy. So-
But couldn't they just pay the same?
Oh, yeah,
activities
absolutely,
fee
and that would go
everybody
down, yeah, we can do it however we wanna do it, it's just that's the options that we tried to throw out there, so. But without additional funding, it becomes an uphill battle, so.
High school robotics is a high school, can be a high school activities association.
High school league, you mean?
Yeah, they do. It still doesn't change that cost or whatever, but like that's something to be.
There are places that count it as a high school activity.
Yeah.
To tier 1, so it'd be like if you had cheerleading was part of it, that would be a tier 1 also, so.
I think for us, it's something that we should definitely look at, just because I know in our area, daycare and that after-school care is a big need. You know, you already have certain areas closing daycare centers. Look at the one that was up at the Lutheran church that we lost over the summer. And you know, these kids need places to go, and there's very limited options right now. And I think that's an important thing that we should really focus on. I don't know if it revolves around maybe taking money out of reserves to help pay for this for the year. Same with robotics. I think if we could attach an activities fee and then maybe also take out reserves for that, that'd be beneficial too. And then give the robotics team a year to try to build up that base, to try to find somebody that's willing to sponsor them, that's willing to support them. Not that we wanna burden the Lions more, because I know the Lions, both Great Eagle and Loud Prairie do awesome work, and they definitely help them as much as they can. But, I mean, moving forward, I think these are important things that we can focus on. And if we look at total, we're looking at 184 participants for $40,000. It seems like it's a pretty good investment.
Are many of the kids in Bolt in robotics? Like, are there a lot of the
There's some
same
overlap.
kids?
There's some overlap with all of our programs, you know,
Right.
every one of the programs, there's days when, you know, when we do, like even the one-offs, we'll have 10 or 15 kids that are doing something else or whatever. We did do all the one-off stuff, we offered it through community ed, so they're like, you know, fleece blanket making, the stuff we run through the 4-H stuff, that's all gonna be on there, it's just gonna be at a per pay basis. So instead of being free, which it's been for the last 6 years, there's gonna be a cost. But we offered all those programs so that we didn't lose the programming, so all those were there. And even the, you know, we're trying to offer all the big programs we can, that's what we tried to do, so. Just like gym games is a big thing in the morning, because a lot of kids don't have a place to go in the morning, so that's been a big deal. So what's gonna happen with that is we're gonna try to, right now they're not gonna do it, but they're gonna try to do some things where they do it maybe 2 days a week and they try to get volunteers to do that. So anyway, that was one of the ones that the people that are doing it say, you know, hey, can we have some time to think about it, and then they decided, hey, this is what we need to do, so. But those are all, it's not easy for any of these, I mean, you know, you're talking 60 or 70 things that happen in the school district that are gone now, I mean, it's just not easy, so. Whatever you wanna do for direction.
Do the kids all show up to Bolt? Like,
We average, okay, so we average, that's a good question, so I kinda, one of the things that I have to do at the end of the year is go through everything. So what we average, during the year, we average about 87% participation. Because you got kids that go to dance, you got kids that go to flag football, you got kids that go to tackle football. So sometimes they're not going, and then some days, we do have other things like we had, like during March, where we have one of our really good programs is, you know, Girls Club. So we have 20 kids, and I think out of those 20 kids, 18 of them were Bolt kids. So then we didn't have those kids on Tuesdays because they were in Girls Club. So it really goes up and down. Summer it goes lower, we're about 70 to 73% depending on the day, because vacations, mom and dad decide they're going to the beach or whatever else. So we have 140 kids that are signed up total. And I would say we probably average during the year, it's probably right around 120, so right around that spot. And then like this year for summer, we had 168 kids sign up, and we averaged about 125, 130. So you can kind of get that, and that's pretty much the way it's been forever. You know, it's about that, we're in that range.
Well, for this cost, my thought is that they get 2 days a week, and I know that's so important.
Yep.
But 2 days a week is better than nothing.
Right, yep.
Robotics would have nothing.
Right, they would have nothing.
And maybe we could instead have the cooking, you know, I'm saying it would be cheaper and,
Yep.
you know, I mean, just to, because there are 2 days of hold. of
Right,
it.
I don't think this is an area where we need to be cheap on it though, I mean, once again, you get 87% participation, which is outstanding. But if you have 140 kids, 160 kids throughout the summer, like, that's a lot of students that enroll in that program. And once again, daycare and after-school care is really needed within our school district, so I think cutting that back again would be not a benefit to our community.
1 day.
Yeah, even just 1 day a week.
So
It's just
I think
expensive.
we are here to get our test scores up. And I think losing 1 day a week of that would hurt that. I think it would affect it anyway. If we can figure out how to make that, what'd you say it was, 26 and 12 is,
39.
you have around $40,000.
Quick note on the 815 weekly updates, there's an attachment to that called activity bus payments, which has the number of kids for every month and the cost for every month. And the total based on that from the asking the building, in case you wanted to reference that.
Okay, so what would you need from us? Need time to think about this again, or
I
if we
think,
say to
you
you,
know, this is, what I would say is that, you know, it's easier to add stuff in than to give it and then take it back. So I would really like, you know, if you guys to research what you think. And I think we start the year off with 2. People are gonna be happy, you know, if we add it in. But I really think, you know, before we jump into something, I wanna make sure that that we're all in. Because if I have to go and do this and then all of a sudden we run into some financial issues and then I have to pull it back, it even makes it worse, I think. So, but, you know, I just need the go-ahead probably by, you know, sometime. Obviously, Bolt starts in next week. We're running some stuff, but if we decided in October, if you guys want a month in October, then we're gonna add a 3rd day in. I think we could see how it goes for a month and just see what we get for feedback. That would be my recommendation, and then with the robotics, you definitely, I would say we could have a month and we still have a very successful program, because a lot of the robotics competitions and things like that, they really don't start till January, February, in that nature. And we would try to just go for a later competition, so the kids would have plenty of time to prepare. So I understand this is, you know, like I said, it's a big ask, so I don't wanna do that, but I think sometimes, we'll have a lot better barometer of what's going on once Bolt starts, because it's just like everything else. Once you don't have something and all of a sudden, how come it's only 2 days? We'll see what the reaction is, because right now everybody's in, let's start school and get ready mode. So I think if we waited until October and you guys did some crunching or got some of your own feedback, I'll do whatever you want. I mean, obviously, if you wanna say yes tonight, I mean, we'll try to get the ball rolling for that, but if you want a month to think about it, you know, and really see what you guys wanna do, I'm okay, I mean, definitely.
Could you maybe get some numbers, like with Bolt and robotics and even like cooking and the D&D and,
I
you know,
got all
just
those
get some
numbers.
numbers
The only
together
reason,
for us to look
I got
at?
those numbers is because he asked for those too.
Right,
I
but
have
just
all-
so we can look at them, just
I
to
have-
kind of see
I have all the
total.
numbers for all the big programs and even the small programs, how much it costs, because we wrote that down. What we did is we wanted to make sure that we weren't selling community ed short to do stuff. I mean, obviously, there's some things that we didn't charge as much or whatever, just so we could have the programs. But I have numbers on any program that you would ask about that we have, so, and
You know,
attendance for all of them. I
And
have
if
those
people have been asking, you know, about the cooking and the D&D, you know, some of those other ones,
D&D is
you know,
on.
to get those,
Yeah,
done too.
D&D is going on because he's volunteering all his time, so they're gonna start with their normal times and go through everything. So that'll be the same. Cooking's another one where, it's
so
really
that's the
expensive.
cooking club after school, right?
Yes, that would be the cooking club after school. We average about 14 or 15 kids, in that program. It's an expensive program because we pay for all the supplies and the instructor and everything else, so supplies are expensive when you're cooking stuff, it's not cheap. So, because she likes to do some exotic things with food and, you know, it's a great, like I said, it's a great program, so. But
Do you think there would be a group of folks out there that would maybe go about fundraising to get the bucks to do this?
I don't know, I don't know where to turn for some of this, like, I mean, I could see, you know, obviously some of the parents I think would go out and do some stuff for robotics. I don't know how parents would go out and who you talk to go and get Bolton money. I mean, because it's more of a academic program that you're working on stuff that's directly for school where robotics is, hey, that's like a sport, you know. And we have booster clubs for all those places, so I'm sure there's gonna be some people that are interested in trying to figure out how to keep that program or everything else. Where Bolt is more general. I mean, it's a little bit tougher sell, so. Whatever, if you guys have ideas, please let me know, or if you want more information about anything, I will shoot it to you as whatever you want. I mean, and I have the financials on all that stuff, so just let me know and I will send you, you know, on any activity that you hear about, I can get you the stuff for that, so.
I don't know how it works with schools, but in my hometown, there's a park and they needed new equipment because it was very old. And somewhere, there's a company that takes shoes, boots, shoes, they can be a whole, it doesn't matter. But people in all these communities around are donating their old shoes. They weigh them and they get paid by the weight. And they have drop sites. And that'd be something to look into. I don't know, but they're gonna build new equipment with what they get.
That's amazing.
I've never heard of something like that, but, you know.
I could probably give them $1,000 worth for my kids. Got big feet and there's a lot of it.
But it doesn't matter the shape because they recycle them.
Right,
Is what
and
they
make
do.
it, yeah.
Mhm. So I'll look into who they're going through.
Fabulous, yeah, let me know.
That,
I'm willing to try
the
anything.
school is allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And if anybody, like I said, if you have ideas or you know other schools that are doing this stuff or fundraisers, we'll try anything.
With the robotics program, if you can, the coaches or somebody can go, and I know it is a tough time for businesses, but there's a lot of businesses now using robotics for
Yeah, and I know we
doing
have a really
stuff,
good,
and I think those businesses would be looking
we have a really
to
good
invest
link.
in kids that they could potentially bring to work.
We have a really good link because Dave is actually a really good friend to the guy who owns Agard and our pasta plant. So I know he's working with him, but I just don't know how much he's willing to do, but I know that he's very, very good friends with him, so I know he was trying to work some stuff up with that, so. And Mr. Nelson's really good about, you know, doing whatever we had. When we wrote those grants last year, I mean, he was, you know, very, very diligent about, you know, is this the best way to do it? How should we do this? How, you know, those things, so. Any other questions you actually have for me? Any other activity stuff that you wanna know about?
I think
So I would like, I mean, to me, I'd like to know by October. I mean, that would be, so. If I could get an answer by the October board meeting on this stuff, then I could we could also prepare to make sure that we can get people to work that third day, and, you know, all those things. That would be the way
You
that I
might be
could
able
get
to
it.
find out how many kids are interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, and and the other thing, how many people really want 3 days? Maybe 2 days is a better option for people. I have no idea. But you are right, Jeremiah, there is a definite need for daycare. I mean, we're seeing that even in LP kids, our numbers are going up. Well, our school numbers are up. I mean, we have over, I know I had to do numbers for federal programs, and I know that it's the first time that I can remember in a long time that we have 500 kids in our high school, which is amazing. I think we're at 501, is that right? So, which is amazing, so that helps with our federal program stuff, so, anyway. Anything else? I have to run, so that's why I wanna make sure I answered everything before I go, so.
So our job is to think.
Just bring back, and I will come back in October, and I'll have, if you need anything, you know, if you need any kind of activity reports or anything, just let me know, and I'll get it to you as fast as I possibly can. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to add a brief thank you to all the community organizations and businesses for the donations they do give to our programs. One of the programs that we've done the last few years, the Innovative School Project Grant, and I was explaining in the Finance Committee how all I have to do is turn in our board donation list for the matching 5,000 because we get quite a few from that. So if anybody wanted a little more information on that one,
It always goes over good, there's some good programs in there that the kids, teachers do.
thank you to all the donations we get. Color Run is also one where we get a lot of support. I don't know where the phone-a-thon is at, that's one that we started recently for activities.
All right, to get back to stuff, I think we're on the technology report. Mr. Mitchell says he's been busy. Anything you'd like to ask Mitch?
I guess good job with the buzzer situation. I guess
For sure.
that was handled pretty quickly and dealt with in a good manner, so.
It was an adrenaline rush.
I'm sure.
Yes.
And then it sounds, with the light bar situation too, it's unfortunate.
We're crossing our fingers, it didn't ship. So it's not looking good for homecoming, but Angela says we're doing it anyway. They're gonna figure out something for the auditorium, so. He's still saying Friday. They're gonna be here Friday, but oh, right, exactly. This Friday afternoon?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that isn't gonna work. I thought it was Monday.
Yeah, that's what Kaylee just said.
Oh, Kaylee said it was
Friday at
Friday.
2 p.m.
Never
Yeah,
mind.
they said it actually was Monday.
I always thought it was Monday.
I believe they switched it because of
Sporting
Sporting
events.
events.
It's Friday
Oh,
at
well,
2:30. There's
now we know
too
for
many away
sure.
sports.
I think it's at 2 p.m.
There you go.
Okay.
Talk loud.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything from the business manager? Anybody got a question for Sherry?
Sherry, I was looking at the community ed one.
Are we really down that much?
It is, but I am hopefully optimistic that once we go through the audit, that those numbers will change. We've got a really high number sitting in deferred revenue right now that is still making up for that anomaly that happened 2 years ago with school age care at the county. So I'm hoping, and Caroline and I have talked about that, she's our top auditor. We've talked a lot about that she has to figure out how to get that reversed out of there. And then we'll have a lot better picture of where community ed is sitting, once we get that deferred revenue code fixed. So
that will be hopefully when
during the audit, so the audit starts October 6th, it's the week of October 6th. And we're doing a lot of preliminary stuff right now, and she's working on trying to get some of our things fixed beforehand so that it goes pretty smoothly, but that's a big kicker right now in that area. Yeah. So, yeah.
Anything else for Sherry? Thank you much, ma'am. Principals? Every time I go to that opening day workshop, they get younger and younger. Every time. They look like they're high school kids. Anyway,
But we only had 2 new teachers this year.
that's crazy. Any questions? We are so quiet tonight.
I guess I'll ask a question since nobody else wants to ask a question. So new students come in, have you seen a large increase of enrollment into the elementary or?
We are, I believe, over 500 now.
Okay. And then are they, early elementary, or are they, kind of that middle school range, or is it kind of varying?
They're all over the place, yep. Wide variety.
All right. Do a lot of these individuals live in the new apartment complex that kind of popped up? Or?
Some do,
Okay.
not all.
We should be over 1,000 kids this year.
maybe?
At multiple points during the year, probably yes. I believe we are right now.
It's bigger than we've been for a while. That's good. Good. The handbooks, all discussion went well, did it? They weren't bored on their trees?
Oh, I'm not going that far, but yes, it went well.
My daughter said that you stopped by her class and you talked about bullying and treating people with respect and stuff like that, so.
Being nice with common things, yes.
Yeah, she definitely came back and told me that you were in there talking to everybody, so.
Good, at least you knew. No, the kids were wonderful listening, and Mike Zimmerman did the PBIS stuff along with other people helping him, and then I came in and did the other roles that don't really fit into those areas, so that was good. It was very fun. I always like getting into the classroom, so.
Thank you for doing that, Tammy. It's important. Yeah, it's important, it is, it's important work.
It's also required, but I would do it.
Well, I appreciate it.
I would definitely do it anyway, so.
You should have just rolled with the compliment.
I know, I should have, but I have to be honest.
Have you had any pushbacks or questions about the cell phone policy or smartwatch policy?
Not one.
That's good.
The kids did ask about it, and then there was not one comment. They said, okay, is there room in the classroom basket for those two? Yeah. Done. So, and not one parent has reached out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How about the high school?
It's been quiet. I think we've collected a couple of phones here and there, but nothing dramatic. It's a little bit noisy in the lunchroom, but kids have been real good about it. I think there's a collective sigh that we did something like that. But, you know, again, like I said in the report, we didn't drop the hammer on them. It went like this over the last couple of years. Plus, we passed it last February, and you were gracious enough as a board to say, well, wait till the school starts. And that, you know, without that, you know, flip, you know, real quick, kids kind of just, okay, heard about it, eased into it. I haven't heard any kickback. I mean, I haven't heard from staff that there's been any collective, you know, arguing or anything like that. So,
We have it as an item on the agenda. And so what I have heard was that that was a scare with the doors and the security system. And then I hear but how can I contact mom and dad if that goes on again? I need mom and dad. And my only thought was, this is how we raise these kids now. They are totally dependent on. But if you're saying they're doing okay with, you know, putting the nook away, so that I think we have to keep an eye on it still. To just, because that was a legitimate concern. I need to get a hold of my mom and dad.
it is, and you know, and we've had that discussion collectively as an administrative team. You know, that argument comes down, I think it was brought up, you know, do we want, you know, the safety aspect is the first, when those calls come, you know, notwithstanding what Mitchell was saying, us at the front end as principals, a million things are going through our heads because now we've got kids roaming around and we have no clue what's going on. So we're as concerned as anybody, but we gotta take care of these kids, plus we don't know what's down at the other end of the hall. We don't know what's above us or below us, so we're trying to ascertain, getting as much information as we can, but our first priority is taking care of those kids, get them locked away and in a safe position, number one, then we'll tackle everything else. And I get the concerns from absolutely legitimate. The problem comes in is, you know, from a safety aspect, and Sherry can speak to this too, because we're gonna be having some really deep discussions on this as we move forward with implementing Alice along with the unification through I Love You Guys, and those two programs enveloping each other. Do we want additional 500, you know, all of a sudden you got people from the outside, and you gotta wait for the police to come in. It just becomes a safety aspect and a safety concern. And cell phones are there, they're in the locker. The first concern is obviously getting those kids locked away, then we'll figure it out, and then afterwards. not gonna stop any kid from making contact with parents, and then nobody said no to any child if that were the case, and I didn't hear that that was a problem. But I can see where parents, and I don't have the kids, I mean, I go back to parents, and I got parents that are teachers in my staff, so that's a good, and this is concerned, I don't want to, we're trying to balance it here.
It's not easy.
I think as a parent, the response was good. I mean, I was at work, you know, I received the message, and it sounded like everything was okay. We talked about it with my daughters, you know, at dinner time that night, and neither of my daughters were that fazed by it, you know, they just said, oh yeah, it was kind of a drill, and, so I don't, like, they weren't upset by it, they weren't emotional over it, we just talked over it and talked about, you know, sometimes things like this happen, you're gonna face situations like this, and it's kind of a way to work with them and kind of work through these things that are gonna pop up, so. I mean, it sounds,
And I think it happened at the high school too, right? It was just, it was at the high school, so like my elementary kid didn't even realize anything was going on either, you know, like.
The alarm goes off here too.
Yeah, but he just thought it was, you know, just a drill kind of thing, but my high schooler was a little more freaked out.
To clarify, when it gets triggered in one building, the other building will get notice that it was triggered. So like either way, both will get a notification.
And also, I wanna say, the reason that don't hear a lot about it is I'll compliment the staff, because they knew exactly what to do. And what to do and how to handle it without asking any questions. And it is stressful, because obviously we front load these things, because the situation when we drill and that with the staff. So we don't have accidents or things of that nature, and the staff knew instinctively, because none of us knew when it gets tripped. I mean, I'm the one who, you know, planned the initiation, all that, along with Tammy, and we didn't have that, so it was a good test run, but I compliment the staff, because they did everything absolutely appropriate, so they need to be complimented very heavily on taking care of those kids.
Kudos to them, for sure.
good job, staff.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
A long time ago, before cell phones, I always heard that if a room is full of chit chat, a room of kids is full of chit chat, that's a healthy thing. So even more so now, to hear that chit chat, it's probably, oh my gosh, what are they doing? Because they were quiet before, but that's healthy. It's a
It is,
healthy
and the
environment
kids,
for them.
kids have been
Thank you.
doing that lunch, I mean, you know, cell phone calls and they've been awesome, I mean, we had our class meetings, it was the first year that I was dead quiet in there. Kept it for 20 minutes, because you lose your audience with that age group. Kept it for 20 minutes, went over the highlights, that was a first class meeting, they did fantastic, went 7 through 9, 10 through 12. I didn't have to raise my voice, I just, we plowed right through, got done with, had a good conversation. Phenomenal, so compliments to the kids, they're really good.
Sounds good. So I think any more discussion on the cell phone, then we can skip that item on the agenda. Anything from the board?
I just have a card here that was signed by several people, if that would go around. School board appreciation.
We got shirts and a card?
With the shirts coming tonight and the thing in July, I believe it was, Lori was planning to look into polls.
Kate just sent me this afternoon some information on some, so once, I have to take the pictures with her prices. I don't know if she's done the logo yet.
Okay.
brought you some today too.
Oh, there you go. So she's pregnant, and I think she's had some health problems, and she's been doctoring a lot, so I think she's working on it as fast as she can. So I did get just prices now to kind of see what
Just curious where it was at.
they're going, they're getting there.
Anything else from the board? Anybody been to anything fun besides all the fall sports and fall everything?
I went to this thing called work, it's a lot of fun.
But you still have a job, right?
I do.
That's good. Okay, Superintendent, Mr. Ludwigson.
Hello, I know one item that fits under here, you might have seen it on kind of some initial planning, like a ribbon cutting for the track. And was taking a look at, there's a time slot between 4 and like 5:45, which we were hoping to do something. I know there was some discussion in Mr. Zastro. I talked a little bit about, what might be the best time. Just kind of want to do a celebration of that. So I'm talking a little bit with Mrs. Peruse, but having, wanting to do something special there where the kids can come out and maybe play some yard games out on the turf and stuff before all the big festivities of homecoming. So, more than happy to take thoughts and suggestions on how that might be effectively organized.
I think it's a good idea.
Will the lines be painted before that?
Yes. As far as I know today with the information I have.
Very confident of you.
My feeling was, and, talking with a few different family members, the closer we can get to that 6 o'clock window when the tailgating starts for the ribbon cutting portion of it, anyway, would be better to get more people there for that, and possibly for the tailgating too. I know I went to the one for the previous home game and it was pretty slow for them. We got there about 20 to 7 or so, and it was, rather slow with people filtering in, so I think the closer we can get to that, to expose the tailgating and help those businesses that are doing that, and it gives more time for people that are working to get there too. Board members or coaches that took the time to be on the committee should be involved, is the feeling that I have.
I do know our church did a big auction this summer. We paid $25,000 and we bought 2 brand new John Deere lawnmowers. So one Sunday we parked them on the church lawn. And people were very grateful to see where their money for the auction was spent. So I think us doing that, inviting folks in to see what it looks like is a good idea, I think. Let's see that, yep, the tax dollars are going to be, here it is.
So maybe you can answer this. Did we ever get that scene looked at?
No, because they started sealing, they were here the week on Tuesday before the football game, they wanted to start working. And they started on Saturday morning at
7 a.m. I think.
it might have even been before 7, they were working. So there was,
I saw them out Saturday and Sunday, so.
yeah, they were in town on Tuesday waiting to go to work.
Okay.
So could we do maybe yard
There's
games
some
before and then do the
towards
ribbon cutting
edge that are
right before
visible.
the game?
Yeah.
I mean, could you kind of
Yeah.
flip flop those kind
I spent about an
of?
hour and a half.
Yeah, it's just a matter of
Walking
structuring.
with Brad and
Yeah.
Kelsey and looking at
I
everything.
was thinking the reason I thought yard games would be nice is it invites people out on there.
Right.
Use it.
They finished it, it's better,
It gives a way to keep the kids occupied.
they went across with it, and then
And then maybe do the ribbon cutting like at 6 or 6,
ways.
well, probably
I don't-
6:30, 6:15.
It's just been, no.
I know it's better than Kelsey, but we probably want to do
But
it.
the guy from Field Work was
Tailgating
supposed to
stuff,
come back
I
the
think.
following week.
I could be wrong, but like I'm
And Kelsey
thinking
wanted
then
me
you
there
have to
when
do
they
those
came,
things.
and I never heard, so I decided he's not able to
And you're
get
gonna
it.
anybody with ideas. Wanted to be
That was,
positive.
I was there on a Friday morning.
I know she's getting some.
Yeah, I know, I couldn't be here at 4.
That was my, that was my time frame to be able to get there.
The advertising
Right
heck
before
out
the
of
game.
it.
And I,
Right,
Right before the game.
Until,
but they have to practice on the field beforehand.
you know, that's the.
And they're, the cheerleaders are usually there at 6. I would say by like 6:30 they're on the
You know,
field,
and I do wanna look at it and stuff, but.
usually warming up. 6:15 maybe, I don't remember, I guess I don't.
that's a hard part because you have to make all those pieces work together.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But even if you advertise it at like 6, when people are coming, to be here at 6, to do tailgating, to
Absolutely, you
do,
should look at it.
to be everything.
This is what's going on the football.
Right.
Anything else we haven't talked about?
I don't know, they'll, tomorrow morning on campus.
In the packet, there was two things attached for the adoption of the superintendent evaluation instrument. Like, there's a,
We gotta talk about this, guys.
there's a draft in there of what that might look like, and then a draft of some possible goals. They're talking to the executive committee. What I really need to know is what the goals are, because if I'm to collect evidence and work towards them, obviously I need to know what they are. I have a draft of what an evaluation instrument could look like, obviously. I mean, that can be adjusted and modified with feedback, but for me in particular, like if I'm going to gather evidence, which is the kind of model that is attached there, obviously I need to know what I'm gathering it for. And in the one that's attached to the board book, there was 3 based on the feedback I was getting at the time. The first one was visibility and community engagement, which is a goal that you guys have seen before, but you know, like you see me out at a lot of stuff. I started filling some of that in. Budget, produce a lot of budget documents. Obviously got the audit coming up here. Lots of projections to do. And then human resources, where I put focus on delegation. And within that goal that was attached to the board book, it references the strategic plan, which has, as we worked on, various different goals that we have set as a board. And some of those do include, there's academic data in there and different things that we're working towards in that. But yeah, like, whatever it is that you want to focus on, you can have a goal related to that, and like evidence. So the main thing I'd like tonight is to know what the goals are, and then whatever you want, direction you want to take the evaluation instrument that can be adjusted in the next month. But you probably want one ready to go by the November meeting. That means that we have it.
Need suggestions. We have a few that they're, what I had gotten is pretty much what we put in here. So we wanted visibility in the community, we wanted participation in the community, we wanted something to do with finances and budgets, and we wanted something to do with personnel, human resources, that kind of thing. So those 3 things are in there. I'm guessing we need to make a motion on that one, these ones, when you come up with other ones, because I would like to have us get the goals put out so that he can start working on them. So then we realize we have a very short time period here. He started working for us the 1st of July. So we also gave him the date of the 31st of December to say if we're going to renew or not renew. So that gives us not quite 6 months to come up with things. So I would like to see us have this done, have the evaluation tool finished, so that we give that out to folks in November, so that we get the results back and we have some concrete evidence, some objective evidence to help us make our decision come December. So if we figure out some goals that you want him to work on until then, we can approve those tonight and begin working on those. And then we'll take another look at the evaluation tool itself. And then give it up in November.
What you had listed there was the goals that we've given you, correct? And I think that list is something I could get behind and go with those goals.
Not hearing any more discussion. Can I have a motion to accept the goals as they are listed here?
I move to accept the goals as listed.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I'll talk a little bit more about what I took from the MSBA model since we talked about the goals. And obviously that can look however you want. For your sake, I put the link to the MSBA handbook. If you take a look to the past MSBA like webinars, there's one about superintendent evaluation yearly. This performance scale is copied directly out of that handbook. And then it's kind of a hodgepodge of a couple of them. This one takes the goals, and each goal has a set related to it. And if you go to the handbook, it goes more like it has a matrix where it describes what a 4 should be, what a 3 should be. And so it has each one of those. So first there's a score there, and then evidence. So that would be about like,
It's in
yep,
this book.
on that one.
It's in this book, if anybody wants to peruse this.
And then the evidence towards completion or advancement of goals, specifically towards the goals that you guys set, and providing you evidence, and then advancing as you would expect towards that. The overall rating is the overall rating for that standard, and then a spot for comments. As you can see there, it says a rating of a 4 or 1 requires a comment. So if you give it the highest or lowest rating, it asks for an explanation. And I guess the way it's structured, this one, if you were to go with this, only asks it if you're like total rating, average of a 1 or a 4. So, then so it goes through the ones for the goals, and then it has a section where you can rate the other standards if you want and provide a comment. That's up to you, or if you want to require it, that's also yours. And then the overall score would be your average. And then a spot there to mark satisfactory, and define satisfactory as 2.5 or higher. Again, it's up to you, but like if you look at the rating scales, like 2 is not necessarily like deficient, like there's room for improvement, and a 3 is definitely satisfactory. But like a job like this, like there should be variations in your score. So that was the draft that, if you take a look at the MSBA, is like a hodgepodge of some of the stuff you see there.
You could never take this whole thing. This whole thing is an evaluation tool. It would take hours to fill it out. So they want you to take out bits and pieces and then adjust as you see fit for it too, so.
We should probably get something in there too, so we can get some feedback from, staff.
Yep, that's my next comment was I would like to see at least the admin team, and I was even kicking around the idea of the entire staff.
The entire staff might be a lot.
That I couldn't, I'm wrapping my brain on who do we pick to take it, to do it. So, we have to be on that.
I mean, could we just pull randomly?
I suppose we could.
So we have done surveys in the past. And let's see, if you read through these, one of them, I think under visibility, because the last time we did a survey of all the staff, it was for visibility. This one says community, we did community last time too. Okay, so we have done a community survey before, and we have done a staff survey specifically of visibility. Obviously, finance really wouldn't work for that because not everybody's going to know the background of that. And human services, I mean, you can chew on that for a bit. You do have to decide how you're going to use the information. But under that visibility one, it does list the goals you approve, surveying both the community and the staff.
I don't know if we want to go to the community. I truly think having, we meet with Daniel once a month, unless you call personally or talk to him, just whatever. But the rest of these people kind of work with him every day, so I think they would have a different picture. And I just think some of that would help us with that decision in December.
I agree.
So we'll go from there, and if that's okay, I think that executive committee, if we can still do email stuff back and forth instead of having to get together and meet and just kick around those kind of ideas and see what we can bounce out.
I can always come to Great Eagle too, you guys need me to.
We'll see how that will work, right? I mean, we'll make it work.
Are you guys meeting every month? Because we only got one summary of one meeting.
So the last time we met, I didn't get a summary of because there's a lot going on in my life at that point in time. And so I wasn't able to pop it out, but, you know, we haven't met yet this month, but I'm sure we will, so.
I would ask you because that's interesting for us to understand what's going on.
Well, you guys haven't given us a finance one either. And on that little bitty topic.
We did before, and we just
You know, I'm just wondering if we want
most
to
of
be.
the information is provided at the meeting.
I mean, we should all be sharing information back and forth.
Should.
The information
Yeah.
should be flowing.
Yeah. We do that.
Once again, I would send it out, but I go from that to this, and then I go home, and then typically I eat and put my kids to bed, and then I get distracted.
Yep. But I think later we'll have to discuss how many times we'll have to meet. Because if we have to be fiscally responsible sometime in the future, this charging $50 for all these meetings could get pricey. Which is a policy that we have in place now, so we have to think about that kind of stuff. Maybe we'll wait until January, then
Do we have to have, do there have to be minutes in these meetings?
No. You can,
I think it would be wise to do that, and we did do it for the finance committee before. When we met with Mr. Froak, we had an agenda come out to us, and then there was a summary the next day.
you might wanna get a
And he
legal
produced
opinion
that for
on
us.
because I think I did ask Jennifer that. And I don't think we need to do minutes and deal.
Because how do you know that you have, if we're getting paid for it? I mean, I don't.
We would have to check with her again, because I know she told us that,
Well, you
because
can.
we're not making official decision.
But isn't it good to send it out to the whole board so that everyone knows what's happening? Otherwise, like I come and I have no idea and you guys are having side conversations that I know nothing about because no summary was ever sent to me or told to me. So,
Then would that get into open meeting law violation?
no, you send out a summary of what happened.
Right, but would that, you know, if you're telling everybody, if you're in a committee, would that be open meeting? I don't know, I'm just wondering if
Well,
that's.
that's
No,
why
because
you
the
can't-
committee is
Summary and
only three.
minutes are different.
Okay.
I go to the school website and under the board information, I put dates that committees meet. When I know about it. Cause committees are kind of just like, the reason that you have less than a quorum is because they can't do official business. There's some debate about how much information you share. It's definitely, I am pro like making sure you have dates out there, what you guys communicate, and I'm a member of the board as well. Is somewhat of a decision amongst ourselves. But like, I know the minutes has been asked for legal before specifically, minutes like you would see from this meeting.
Maybe that would be a column for Jennifer again, it's what her official legal opinion would be. But I know, I think the executive committee is on there.
This month, we've just been emailed so far.
I think it's okay to do it that way, you know, oh, I see you met, I get it, okay.
We didn't get together.
Virtually.
No.
Okay.
As a point of reference, the districts use the Chamber of Commerce before for survey, and I could share these old surveys with you. And then there was a survey done of elementary and secondary staff. If you remember right, Tanya, you helped review these once upon a time. So I can share those so that just that you have some, like something that we use before.
That would be good.
All right, so did we kick that around enough? Okay, on to the next, ready for new business?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll do the donations quick. Very wonderful again.
Unfinished business with cell phone policies.
We said we skipped that because we talked about it during the principal's report. Okay, Grego Bertram Lyons gave $1,000 to FFA because they came and worked the tractor pull, which went from 11 o'clock in the morning till 9:30 that night. So they earned their money. Then Stony Creek Dairy LLC gave $250 to the weight room. Dairy Ridge Incorporated gave $500 to the weight room. The American Legion Post 12 gave $500 to the weight room. Steve Neville over at Neville's Hardware in Grey Eagle gave $400 for the welcome baskets. Okay, I'm gonna kill this. Taquiera Bravo gave $50 for the weight room fundraiser. True North Marketplace gave $50 for the weight room fundraiser. Trinity Lutheran Church Ladies Circle gave $200 to the Kylie Goff Scholarship. And Mid Central National Bank gave $300 to the Letter Club. I would need a motion.
So moved.
Tony.
1 second.
Lori. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Ludwigson, you chat a little bit about the preliminary 25 payable 26 levy.
Thank you. We reviewed these quickly in the finance committee. The total revenue generated by the estimated amount is about 6% It should be noted that that's not the same as the 6% to taxpayers, as the way it's calculated is they take a total amount of money that's being asked from the levy, and then they divide that up based on property value and property owners. And school finance is particularly complicated because there's some that go off referendum market value, which is fairly straightforward in that your property's worth so much, you get taxed X amount. And then there's net tax capacity, which has all this lovely property identification, where if it's a difference if you are a business or an ag or a residential, that sort of fun stuff. So when we do the truth in taxation in December, like I take more of a look at what that means, like per household. But just so you know, like that 6% increase, which is about $200,000 on this, is not like the same as necessarily what you'll see on a tax statement. And then that represents slightly over 1.1% of the total revenue budget that is currently projected. But the big thing we do at the September meeting, as you can see there, it says maximum. There's more of a description in front of you and some history. But the reason we do that is that these runs that we get, what started last week, which is a little bit late because there's about 3 new staff in need and so forth in education. And they basically run these like every week, if not a little sooner or more often. And numbers can fluctuate, they can increase or decrease. So if you certified them at the numbers that they were today, and for some reason they would discover an error where you can actually levy for more, you wouldn't be able to levy that amount if you could only levy that amount or less. So that's why we say maximum, so that if there is like a correction, that you still have that freedom to move the numbers around. I didn't make a note here for school age childcare. We're still levying that, or I'm still saying that we'll do that at maximum, but like when we do the levy run sheet, I put in 20,000, and that's because we don't almost never do 200,000, and that was why that one year when the county did collect it, like it was removed from the levy sheet, but they didn't remove it when they went to collect taxes, so that's why it caused those kind of wonky things for the correction for the community. I am happy to answer any questions if you have any at this point.
That's one of those motions that we make every September to levy for the max and we adjust it as the time goes by. So if there aren't any more questions, I would entertain a motion.
I'll motion to certify the levy for the maximum amount.
Gotcha. Lori, motion.
I'll second it.
Second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And if you missed it in the consent agenda, the truth in taxation is at the regular December board meeting, so that was already approved. Okay, update policies 104 and 209. Policy 104 is the school's mission statement, and the attachment to the updated MSBA policy, including the mission statement that we did in strategic planning. I worked with the Big River Group. And 209, which is would be the exhibit for 209, which would be the board norms, which are those documents back there on the wall.
In case you haven't heard it for a while, our mission is of the Long Prairie Borrego Public School District is to instill pride in every individual within our community by fostering meaningful relationships, demonstrating dedication to lifelong learning, and elevating all students by standing united in creating big opportunities. A lot of words, but it makes total sense to me. Any discussion on those?
It's a good mission statement.
It is, very good. And I think this policy 209, we do a lot of that at the strategic planning, where that comes from, so that's where you've seen it before. And I believe we have two motions to accept those, both of them.
I'd make a motion to accept both policy 104 and 209.
Jeremiah makes the motion,
I'll second it.
Lori, to accept those two policies. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And 7:20. Oh,
Turf, you have to do something with the turf.
Yeah, we do have two additions to the agenda.
oh, that's right. Thank you.
Linda, she's
I wrote them
getting
right
gallant.
there.
The one is just okay to bid the extra turf from the project. So like they're purchased with public funds, so like we can't sell them at all unless it's approved to be bid off to the,
How much extra do we have?
quite a bit. It's not necessarily worth a lot, but it's still public. It's still purchasing public funds.
When I spent time walking the turf with, the day of the first game, I spent an hour and a half walking with Brad and Kelsey and looking at different things, and then they were moving the excess turf. I don't know why there was part of a roll, and I don't know why that was left, but there was pieces that they lay the entire field out, and then they cut out where the logo was, or, excuse me, where the logo is, and some other places, they cut those section pieces out and folded them up, and they are considered extra turf. Why there was a fair roll there, and I don't know why that was left. That being said, Kelsey or Brad did say that Field Turf recommends not selling all of the turf, keeping a few pieces so that because turf is basically carpet. If there's a tear or something like that, we have the turf here to fix it.
Yeah, and in particular, it'd be mostly the green, because the colored stuff is harder to come by. And so we have more of the green left over, and that would probably be primarily the ones, that's the primary coloring we're looking at.
Did the company overestimate? What they needed?
Well, a lot of it's from like Mr. Zastro explained, like they lay it out and they cut portion, and so you have some left over from cutting out the logo, and then you lay it out like it comes in rolls, so you don't necessarily use the whole roll. So like we're not talking about like this isn't gonna get a lot of money, but you can't sell it unless you approve it by the board.
I think also just like many projects, and as Daniel's alluded to, there's part of a roll left. They maybe overestimate by a roll, because if there's something happens and you tear a big piece when you're laying it down, now we don't have the turf here. And if they start a roll, it's your roll. You know, if you're working on siding on a house and they start a new piece, and that piece is your piece. I mean, so they leave you the excess.
Is it too much to just hang on to?
Yeah,
A lot?
like it ends up being a lot, and we would want to keep the colored and a good amount of the green. But like some of the green is like he was saying, they started laying it out, and so it's like a harder roll, and so they ordered extra in case there is an issue. And like I said, they're not like necessarily worth a lot, but they're yours once they come here, and like you can't sell them unless you have a board vote because it's considered public funds.
The company won't buy it back.
I'm sure they won't.
They usually don't.
If they would buy it back, they would have taken it.
So is somebody going to decide how much we keep? Or are we just, if somebody wants to walk in and take all they can, we're gonna let them, or are we gonna?
We visit as administration staff first, so we'll probably keep most of the color on that.
So you guys are kind of on top of that.
Yeah, we just need, basically asking, let us use your judgment, is what really asking.
As I say, it sounds like you already have a plan in place that you wanna go with, so.
Yeah, just need our approval.
And I guess we need a motion for that.
I move to sell the excess turf.
I'll second it.
Take that motion and a second. Any discussion on the turf selling? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. And the food service?
Well, we've been advertising for a head cook, and haven't gotten that, and, you know, it's like $1 million business that we have in our school. And the MSBA, every year, we go there, and there are vendors that talk to us, and we eat their food, and, some of it is very nutritious, very well done, and they've talked to us about how they can come in and they keep your staff and everything if the staff wants to stay there. I think we should look into it. It's a time where we could look into that and just check into it as a board and have them come and present to us and see the cost effectiveness of it, or because then we don't have to hire, they do all of that. They manage it all. And that might just be
I think we've looked into it once or twice before. For some reason, we just never did it.
Really did it, yeah.
I think we looked into doing the custodians the same way.
Yeah, you basically are contracting out the service.
Yeah, it's a contract, like you're contracting for the substitute teachers.
Well, with food service, I
You do
think
for
that,
busing.
Yep, it does, none of that ever
yeah,
hurts.
to look as, yeah.
So has the food director been filling in that position then?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so Do we need a motion to do that, or can we just instruct you, or?
You only need a consensus for me, if the intent is for me to come and get you information, I will need a consensus.
I'd like us to try to look and see who was at MSBA last year.
There were quite a few.
There were a few.
That's where I got that big whisk from, came in handy.
Somebody was handing out the breakfast burritos.
Wasn't that them?
Was it just had like healthy options?
Is there a logo on it?
I don't know, I'd have to look, it might be more off.
Cause there was another one that just had packaged stuff, and that wasn't as impressive. You know, it wasn't, it just wasn't, we didn't think that that was a good, would be a good consideration, but that other one.
I'll look.
Tayer is the only one that I'm aware of, like I think BBE has Tayer, T-A-H-E-R. I don't know, T-A.
I know as I use that list.
I know.
If you ran into places while you're there, you'll have to let me know.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think it would be a good thing to check into, and it's not gonna,
Especially if we have to get into the cost saving
right,
sooner than later, so. Maybe we'll look at it, good. So. We're good, so we let Daniel check into that. Gotcha. All right, motion to adjourn at 7:00.